everybody. This is Changing Times, Changing Worlds, Otherworldly for Wednesday, January 25th, is it? Yes, I believe so. And we have as our guest tonight, I'm afraid I don't remember your whole name, but we have Gayla here to speak about recognizing the magic in the world. So without further ado, now that we are set up, we'll allow you to start talking. Want you introduce yourself a bit?
Sure. Well, my name's GaylaSoldanoVEVO. I live over by Seattle, Washington. Been a pagan since I was about 21 years old, consciously. What do you want to know? Nobody told me what to talk about, really.
Well, the session has been titled,
what do you want me to talk about?
The session has been titled Recognizing the Magic in the World, for whatever that might mean to you or any of us.
So, okay.
Chipicon, do you want to say something in chat to prompt us here?
I'll just start talking, I guess. So I met my first teacher when I was 21. She belonged to a Druid circle. She was eclectic. And her name was Marilyn. Her teacher told her books would come to her instead of telling her, what books to get. So she said a prayer, and her husband were walking down the street one day, and they found a whole bunch of books like spread out all over the pavement. So they started looking at them, and she found a very magical book. It wasn't a witchcraft book. It was called 14 Lessons in Yoga Philosophy and Oriental Occultism. It was at one time was a college course, and the people at college wanted them to make a book out of the course. It was basically a system and spoke to my scientific mind and made magic not mysterious to me. It was talked about there being different laws of the universe, and if you knew those universal laws, how the world worked, you could use them to your benefit and to the world's benefit. My first teacher was an artist, and so when she read the book, she started trying to figure out how to do what it was saying you could do in the books. It explains all the different psychic phenomena, the names of them, what they are, talks about channeling and healing and the different types of techniques you can use for doing healings on people. It used a sevenfold system. It uses a sevenfold system that I use today, that I correlate with the 7 chakras. In this particular book, you didn't have to take things at face value. It basically taught you that to take what you could, go out in the world and figure it out yourself, and keep what you thought, worked for you, and disregard the rest and not just follow blindly what it said. So I liked that. My scientific mind liked that. There are things in that book that I've never seen in any other book.
Really?
When the New Age movement came in and people started talking about seeing energies and auras, I've never read anywhere about anything about thoughts and thought auras and the vibrations that are coming off of people's brains, and the fact that you can see them and they're shaded in different colors. There's a color chart written out in the book. Really? About what those shades mean. A long time ago, they used to have the saying, red with lust, green with envy. People actually turn those shades. Even when you don't see energies on light-skinned people, the aura reflects off the face like it does off the sun. I walk in my world, and every day is magic. It's not, I don't do spell work. I don't try to control things.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned through rhythmic breathing and a certain type of breathing technique to back my ego out of the way and find what I believe is the divine spark in everyone, that spark of God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. I think we're all connected. And so I connect with that energy and try to back my ego out of the way and ask the goddess to use me when I do things. Dedicated my life to the God, Mother Earth and the gods when I was about 23. Just rededicated myself last week. And I live a magical world. I have to be careful because I manifest accidentally, because my thoughts are a force. And I so much believe that a casual thought can, especially if the goddess wants it, can like manifest something. And so magic to me is not magic. Miracles to me aren't miracles. They're psychologically, scientifically in my brain. Oh, that makes sense because of this and this and this law and that law. So I quit calling myself a witch years ago when I was losing jobs, when I lost jobs, and I realized it scared people. And I have no problem with other people reclaiming that word. I'd be burnt right along with everybody else if the burning times came back. But I've always been psychic. As a kid, I felt vibes and would go. I was a rowdy kid. I went to parties, party hopped with my friends, and we'd show up at a party. They'd all go in the door, and I'd stop and not go in the door. And then later I'd find out that something happened at the party. So I've always been psychic. My mom's psychic. She's scared of being psychic. I come from a long line of psychics. And what else you want to know?
Well, Tripicon says in chat that that's what she wanted you to talk about. So all of that. I'm interested in that book. Did you say the title of it?
It's called 14 Lessons in Yoga Philosophy. It's a series of books. The only thing you have to realize is the book was written over 100 years ago, so it has stigma and ideas. Like when they start talking about mesmerism and hypnosis, which are techniques you can use for healing. Like if you're doing energy work on someone, giving them thought forms and positive affirmations charged with energy with their permission is a good thing. But to use it for your own good, you're going to end up causing issues. So the warnings in the book, their warning is not to do black magic like witches and voodoo people. So you have to get past their biases. Right. 100 years ago, what they thought was different than what a lot of us know and what some of us grew up knowing.
Yes.
But you have to get past their biases. It's very, it's not a religious book. You could follow any religion and read the book and figure it out. It's a series of books. The first one, that's actually the second book. The first one's called Science of Breath, which is all just a bunch of simple breathing exercises. But the real magical, I can show you what it looks like.
Well, Tripicon has given us a link to the Amazon listing.
Fabulous. For it. They quit, the Yoga Publishing Society for a while quit publishing it, and they started republishing it again.
Well, they're offering
a demand.
There's a Kindle app being offered. It's probably in the public domain, actually. There's a Kindle version being offered for 99 cents.
Yes, you can get it for $1. Yeah. You can get it for $1. It's the best magical book I ever had.
Read it with a grain of salt, and but see what you can glean from it. Okay. Now, I was interested when I heard you talk about the accidentally manifesting. I've done that myself in the past. Usually on the way to the trash dump to go look for things, it's a still good shed.
Okay. Okay.
I have a number of occasions where I've sat on the way to the trash dump with my husband. You know what I really need to find today is this. And there is exactly that,
There you go.
including the, counter height artist drafting chair I wanted one time.
My first teacher told me, when she was telling me my thoughts manifested my world, I did the grade school, made an energy bubble with my hands, got it going, and then I put a thought form in it. And the first thought form, she said, think of something I wanted that was not like difficult or hard, but think of something I want, make an energy bubble, and just send it out into the world.
Okay.
So I needed an exercise bike. So I made my little energy bubble and I sent it out to the world. And back then I drove cab at night. And I came across the parking lot, and in the middle of the parking lot, about a block from the Goodwill bin, was an old, rickety, fold up exercise bike, rusted all to hell. That was my bike, and I took that baby home, and I was proud. And it lasted about a month.
Hey, got you started.
But each time you do that, everybody's psychic. We all have psychic abilities, and every time you acknowledge your gift, whether it's audio, hearing things, or knowing things, whatever it is, because we have different gifts, recognizing it and paying attention to it strengthens it. Doubting it and say, oh, that didn't happen, we'll go the other way.
And obviously you want to be careful about how you specify what you want too.
The older I get, I think I've become more wiser where I don't ask for much.
Yeah. Well, as I recall, you say you got an exercise bike and it was all rusty. My artist chair had a broken footrest.
There you go. Eventually you end up manifesting in much better ways. But I think the reason I hardly ever do what I would consider spell work is that you always get whatever you get out of life. There's always a lesson in something you don't want or you think you don't want. I want the lessons. I'd rather not get them in hard ways. But I try really hard to just step back and go with the flow and let the gods control everything. My higher spark in me knows where I'm going way before I know where I'm going. And if I just get out of the way, things are a lot easier. I have friends that do all kinds of spell work, and every day or every week they're doing some kind of spell.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me personally, that can get me in more trouble than just going with the flow.
I like the idea of going with the flow. I guess that's kind of what I've actually done my whole life too, was gone with the flow and try things out when they seem to present themselves to me. And pay attention to the voices I hear.
I say there's a little birdie in my head that tells me things.
I get deities dropping into my dreams sometimes and telling me things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live differently than a lot of people. Maybe not a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, we all want to think we're unique, but I believe that the pendulum swings one way or the other. And if I find balance and I don't move too much and I'm just like here instead of way over here or way over here, the pendulum doesn't swing so far. And I'd much rather have a mellow, easy life than drastic swings.
Oh,
So
tell me
I
about
try
it.
to find balance.
Hmm. Where are some places you find magic that you don't think necessarily everybody thinks to look for it?
Say that again.
Are there some places that you find magic that you don't think other people necessarily think to look for it?
Well, that's so most people I think of magical places like the woods or the waterfalls. And yeah, I think there's magic everywhere. I think that magic talks through people. It's like, to me, magic is, how do I put this? Because it's not really magic. It's like there's an energy and a vibration. And I know from experience that how I vibrate and what level I vibrate at attracts that kind of energy to me.
Mm,
I tell people all the time, I'm not a good person because I'm virtuous or like I just think I'm that shit. I'm a good person because I truly know that the vibration I put out comes back to me. It's not just when you do ritual. It's not
hmm.
just if you're doing a spell, it's going to come back to you 3 times. Whatever you put out, it's like energy is like a bouncing ball.
Mm,
And so you bounce it over to somebody, and whatever kind of energy you're bouncing their way, it comes back. They bounce it right back. Um,
yeah.
so to answer your question, every place is magical.
Okay.
Um, I can learn from everybody. I mean, I've heard some profound things come out of people that you would never think that they may not even know what they're talking about. But when you're connected to the flow, this energy, there's like to me, for me, there's an underlying energy. I don't care what you want to call it. There's this energy that's in everything, around everything.
Hmm.
We're part of it. Everything's part of everything else. So when you live your life that way, everything's magical.
Okay.
Washing the dishes can be magical if you hold the right attitude.
Hmm. Okay. I think Chipcon once wishes she could be heard better. Have you checked your audio settings, Chipcon?
I will. Can you talk a little bit more about how your interest in magic?
A little bit more about type it if you can. Um,
What do you want to know a
oh,
little more
talk
about?
a little bit more about how your music works in with magic. She did type it in.
Okay, so well, all my music's been channeled, what I call channeled, for the lack of a better word. Um, I was learning chants, going to a lot of pagan festivals, and I'd come back to my community. We'd have circle, I'd share a chant, and then we'd leave circle, and they wouldn't remember the chants.
Mm,
So I was asked to record some, and I went into a friend's studio and we recorded some chants, just gave them away, on cassettes. And we did that 2 or 3 times. And the man that was recording the chants for the community was a sound engineer. He got free studio time
oh,
and for putting together the studio. And so he asked if I wanted some free studio time and said all I had to do was pay for the reel. Well, I'd been chanting and I'd been singing and making up songs my whole life, but I had no songs.
mm,
So for me, it was pretty unheard of to get free studio time when you didn't even have any songs. So I decided that the goddess gave me this opportunity. So I sat down, prayed, talked to my higher power and said, hey, obviously you want me to go do something in the studio. So give me what I need. And I
hmm.
started asking what I was supposed to bring forth. Started writing little paragraphs and more paragraphs, and then they'd come together, and I'd look at them, all of a sudden a melody would come to my head. I didn't even play the guitar. Back then I played the native flute by ear. Didn't play an instrument. So my songs are really simplistic. They don't have a lot of instrumental between the words. They're usually repetitious like a chant, because I didn't know that much about how to put a song together. They just magically happen. And then I went into the studio. I had friends that wanted to go into the studio, so they helped me. I basically would sing a melody line to my friend Gary, and he would play what I was singing. I'd say, oh, I want this to sound jazzy. So or I'd want it to sound country or whatever I wanted. He'd start playing those chords, what I was singing to him.
Okay.
Then after we recorded the music, everybody took off doing their own thing. And I was left there with a tape, and I didn't play guitar. The only thing I do is go to a festival and put it in a cassette. So I put it away. I ended up leaving the pagan community. That pagan community started following more of my native heritage, Native American heritage for a while, and just kind of forgot about the tape for a really long time. 4 years ago, I learned how to play guitar for the first time, really played. I'd been playing chords, 1 or 2 chords, and I could never get the rhythm down in my hands. And I'd set it down for 6 months until I picked it up and learned another chord, but I never really played. And then at 61, 4 years ago I joined a guitar group and actually learned how to play the guitar.
Okay.
I played the cassette to a friend and gave another music major, played my cassette. She picked out the chords that I could play. She knew the chords that I knew how to play, and she transposed the tape onto a piece of paper with the chords so I could start playing them. And I just kind of followed the goddess and my leanings and my little birdie in my head, each step doing something, And now I got 4 videos out thanks to my friends. And
Nice.
The great new video service that came out that Monica and Harold have, Constellation Artist something. I have to write it down to remember it. But I'm having good videos now, and who knows where that's going. I actually got a new song. I've been writing chants all this time, but I haven't really wrote any songs, and I finished my first song just recently, a new one. And it's all magical. I write about my experiences. I write about, though spirit tells me and gives me a topic and a subject line, there are things that I know about that I've experienced. So I think every artist does that.
Okay. I just added the title of your channel, GaylaSoldanoVEVO, in the chat there, and there's a link to one of your videos that if people want to check that out.
You can get my music on BandCamp for $1. You can listen to it for free on Spotify and Apple Music if you just type in Gayla Soldano.
Very nice. Okay.
All my music's on there. And I'm working with DiscVid to get the videos that are getting made up on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. I'll be subscribing to your channel, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Being able to, well, I like making sure I can see the videos and not having to just remember to go and look. It's nice when they dump them into my nice little inbox there.
There's a lot of good pagan music out there. A lot more than when I can remember. There was a period of time, for like 4 years, all I did was listen to pagan music. Didn't listen to anything else. And it was harder to get back then. You know, it was kind of word of mouth, or you had to go to a festival and meet someone and buy a cassette or a CD from them.
Do you have some favorite artists? Tripicon mentions Gwydion.
So Gwydion at one time was my favorite artist when he was alive. He wrote one of my songs, White Native People, was inspired by a song he wrote called Burning Times. And he wrote Burning Times, and then everybody, I mean, now Isis Astarte, Diana, Hecate is like a well-known chant now. And I'm hoping that they republish Burning Times. I've heard stories about his partner going to actually re-record it.
Okay.
But that's just a rumor that I heard from someone that knew Gwydion's partner.
Okay. Harold has offered a link for Constellation Artist Productions. If people are interested, is that the studio?
That's the video. That's the video.
The video productions.
Yes, and they're making my videos. They're working great with me. I'm deciding like what I want it to look like, you know, the type of genre I want it to look like, and I'm deciding how to like record myself, because you have to give them. It's pretty simple. You give them a track of your music that you want done, and then you have to do a video of you mouthing the words. And so it's like I have to think, okay, so how do I want it? Where do I want to be on this one? Like the Goddess of the Night chant, it came to me, well, do it in the dark, because it's about being in the underworld. So it's like the video's dark, and I waited till the sun was almost down and then opened the blinds. And all the ideas I had, it was like Monica and Harold, when he put his ideas in the pot, they enhanced what was in my head. They're really easy to work with, and the price is unbelievable. I thought I would have to spend hours upon hours figuring out some kind of video program to do my own videos, because who can afford a couple thousand or more to do videos? So
I think that's one of the nice things these days is there are so many smaller independent studios and video houses and such that it's not as big a barrier to get something done anymore. And you don't necessarily have to do it yourself. Are you seeing the chat there? Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a question.
Well, doesn't seem to be one at the moment, but she does mention a link for Gwydion's work.
Oh, there's a link.
Yes, Smile Amazon, Amazon.com has Fairy Shaman and Songs by the Old Religion are both there, she says.
Oh, nice. I
Okay.
might have.
If you like, we could share a screen and play one of your music videos.
Sure.
All right, let me set that up for you, Harold. All right, you should be able to do that now, Harold.
Probably going to do the new one.
Okay. Which one would you like?
The newest one that we just finished today, if you have it. You have the one that's coded?
Yep. Or Goddess of the Night, Chipicon says.
Oh, she likes that one, but I don't think she heard White Native People yet. Has she?
All right. Sounds like White Native People is a good choice then. Harold, I've set up the option to share screen, so I believe. Oh no, sorry. All participants, I need to make it. Oh wait. No? Oh, all participants, yes, it's set to that. There we go. All right, Harold.
Where's the no
You need to-
video? You have to share audio.
Yes, you have to share the audio along with the video. So if you could close that and try again, please. They hide the share audio with it in
Yeah, there's a little thing. I can't remember what you have to click on.
yeah, they have changed it so you have to go in a second time and click it. Let's see. All right. They don't give you the options with the sharing the first time you click on it, and it threw me off the last time I did that.
Says original sound for musicians is off. I'm seeing up in the screen, it says the music is off. Well, it was a good idea.
Let's see what happens here.
On the top of my screen, it says original sound for musician is off.
All right.
Oh, well. So
it was a nice idea, yes.
I
We'll have to have you back.
It
Yeah.
was playing on our side, but I don't know.
There should be a white window that pops up with options, and on the bottom, there's a little tiny box you click to have it share the sound with the video.
Let me try it again here.
Yeah. I think we'll certainly have to have Gayla back again when she can.
Okay, tiny button at the bottom.
You should have gotten a white screen with options for the sharing. But they've been changing things at Zoom, and it's been hard to figure out.
Just a green. There's nothing, I mean, wait. Yeah. Maybe it's working now. Let me try.
No. It's a lovely looking video.
try it. And I just clicked this thing that said original sound, and now it says on.
Okay, where did you find that?
It's on the top of my screen. But it still didn't make the music go because I'm not doing it on.
I think we might want to. Yeah, I think we might need to skip that this time. As I say, we'll certainly want to have you back at some point to do a proper show. There we go.
Oh, well, you got that one.
Thank you, Orchestra.
Walking through the winter of my soul. Met a goddess from the underground below. Gave me pain and sorrow, its tools to transform. Led me through the darkness so I may be reborn. Goddess of the night, whoa, lead me through the darkness. Goddess of the night, lead me to the light. Goddess of the night, lead me through the darkness. Goddess of the night, lead me to the light. There's things I will discover in the shadow of my soul. Darkness to uncover and blocks to let go. When I'm lost and lonely, nowhere to hide, the goddess, she will find me. Take me to the other side. Goddess of the night. transform. Let me to the darkness so I may be reborn. God is in the night. Whoa, lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light. God is of the night. Lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light. There's things I will discover in the shadow of my soul. Darkness to uncover and blocks to let go. When I'm lost and lonely and nowhere to hide, the goddess, she will find me. Take to the other side. God is tonight. Whoa, lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light. God is of the night. Lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light. God is of the night. Lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light. God is of the night. Lead me through the darkness. God is of the night. Lead me to the light.
Oh, lovely. That is wonderful. I love it.
A lot of work went into that for a lot of different people. Work 40 years ago and a lot of work now.
Well, it was worth every bit of it. I really like that.
Thank you.
Do you have some other music plans soon, or?
I just finished a song called Succubus
Okay.
that I'm very excited about. I need to get it copyrighted and work out. I haven't recorded it yet. I'm learning how to record at home like everybody does now. So I'm hearing that the recordings come out great. Well, I'll find out, but it's a lot less. It'll be a lot easier to put music out, not having to pay for studio time.
No, the quality of equipment you can get for home use now is amazing. I don't do it myself, but yeah, I see what's out there.
It's wonderful that the barriers to singing and getting heard are kind of being wiped away with the internet.
Now, Tipcon is wondering if you could explain the title White Native People.
So, sure. So people always think of Native people as indigenous to the land and the continent, like the Native Americans and East Indians. And before colonialism happened, there were white people that were native. They called them witches. They started burning them, but they persecuted the natives of their own culture before they went off and persecuted everybody else for not following a Christian religion. That was my spin, like on the burning times. That song is about the burning times. But it's to bring awareness to the fact that white people were native at one time too. We still are native. If you're a witch, you should be connected to the earth and you should be feeling some kind of native connection, even though a lot of us don't have ancestry that actually originated from here. The spirits are still here and you can still connect to the elementals and the woods and the spirits that are here on this land, whatever land that is that you're here. But the Crusaders and the burning times, they killed off all the white natives, tried to, and that's what the song is about. It's about how they persecuted natives and white people and basically tried to kill us all off and burn us. We
Actually,
lost your sound.
Hi, Gayla. Actually, the priest that went down from he was called from Ipswich going down to Salem, who had the slave and the daughter who was starting, I guess, with the rye, that got poisoned with the rye.
Mhm.
I had family in Ipswich in 1645, and it appears that they probably knew each other just because of the smallness of the communities and everything like that. But for me, it's an interesting connection
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
way back there in time. But it you know, what's interesting in New England, which I in historical and ancestry and everything, is they were very good at documenting things, very good at
Yes.
documenting families and how many people they had, what the ages they are, what they do. So it's fascinating if you have family, especially in New England, and finding out the history of it.
Mm.
My mom's family goes back to William the Conqueror. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's how far we've documented. So anyway.
Yes, all my grandparents came into this country, well, except for one, came into this country from other places. So I
By
don't
the
get to
way,
go very far back without getting into international. Chipicon mentions in chat that the folks in the white with red embroidery were indigenous religious folks from Slavic countries that we saw in your first video, the other video.
mhm.
That you hardly got, that you didn't hear.
We hardly
the new
got to
one?
see, yes.
Yeah, I didn't know where they came from. That was Monica and Harold putting my video together. They just said, "Do I want some white native people in there?" And I said, "Well, of course I do."
I recognize the origin myself, so. Chipicon, we're at the top of the hour, or a little past. What
Wow.
would you like to do here? I'm sorry we got such a late
Yes, they
start,
do.
but only for 44 minutes into the show. If you'd like to keep going, we can. Does anyone have questions for? I'm sorry,
Gayla.
Gayla.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So it is true that DNA testing, you have to have a big enough log of people. And so it comes back that none of my family are Cherokee. When I have history and pictures, like sitting behind me is my ancestors who definitely look Native American and French. But when my family started doing DNAs, and then I started checking around with some of my Native full-blooded friends, and they don't come up because they don't have enough database.
I can
That makes
understand
sense
that.
because they know their ancestry.
True.
So they don't try.
They don't need to be
know it, they
involved.
speak it.
Yeah.
It also depends on how the DNA comes through to you. You know, I mean, I can trace my mother's family back to Wales to 1100, 1000, and my DNA shows no Welsh ancestry, but it's because of what came through from my mother. I got more of the Scots and some of the Irish, you know, and the West Country English came through, but I didn't actually get any Welsh DNA. Now, that doesn't mean that my cousins or my sister didn't either.
Right.
It depends on how and what you get from each of your parents. Yeah.
And
But
people
my
don't
DNA
realize
changes too.
Yeah, people don't realize how mixed, how much people traveled in those days either, and how many people from different backgrounds would be in different countries. There were people of all different cultures throughout England through the Middle Ages.
Well, I think
Not
that's
large
also
numbers.
I think that's also because Caesar pushed everybody over there.
Well, that's true. He kind of spread everybody out, but
Bless his soul.
but people
see what-
traveled.
They did.
And yes, thank you for the I Look English. That's absolutely everything from my mother is British Isles and Ireland. There's, well, Normandy, because there is a little bit of Normandy, and if I trace them, and they came into Wales with the Normans that were invited by Edward. Is it Edward? Yeah. And that kind of thing. But my dad, it's a little bit of German, but the Scandinavian countries. And the only place that they overlap is Scotland.
Yep, same
I
here.
get Scot from both of them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, my mother.
But it's just this one tiny area of England. From, it's like most people I know have stuff from over here or over there. Yeah.
Well, my mother was a Farley, and William the Conqueror was born in the Farley Castle, which is still there in Normandy. It's a tourist place, but it's it's interesting just from there going forward.
On my mom's side, there were Welsh, right? And then there's another line that fought with William. They came over to Wales with William.
Are they on the list? There's a knight list.
There's some of those battles.
Okay,
I haven't looked. I do have with what I have looked. I've traced some of them. They actually were at Agincourt. They were at a couple other battles. Depending on the side. My Welsh line actually goes back to some of the Welsh kings, but there were, Wales is tiny, and then there were 4 kingdoms in Wales. So, being a Welsh king wasn't necessarily being somebody that had a lot of territory. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, what were your backgrounds?
Joanne, I would love if you would send me the link to the list. Yeah. And I would love to.
I'll have to go find it, but I think I might have
hear more from our guests.
Yeah, I was curious what Gayla's backgrounds are and how they influence her chants and
What?
What are your ethnic backgrounds, your ancestry, and
I have 7 different nationalities in me.
Okay.
I'm Irish, German, Scottish, Swedish, Black Dutch, French, Indian, and something else.
Gayla, Chipcon asks, can you talk about the Druid and Bardic initiations and how that's influenced you and your music and your idea of magic with the music?
So that was huge because so I joined the Druid Circle, and then after I joined, I heard that they had this little bardic thing they did, and it was a cute little sweet ritual, but it woke up the muse in me. I mean, it really got me more. It's like there's something about doing initiations, that just speak to your subconscious. So for me, it was huge. As far as what the rituals and stuff we did, my friend that's in the room could tell, probably did some of those bardic rituals with other people, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I have them.
What?
I have them.
You have them, yeah. Joanne, Cindy and Dwayne were the high priestess of the Druid Circle when I belonged, but then it hived off to someone else, and then Joanne took it over for a while. So she knows much more about behind the scenes why maybe those rituals were created. I don't know. Do you know anything about that? Or were they just basically designed to bring out the muse and what I said?
Yep, that's what it is. So, but yeah, I have the manual and everything, and it has it all in there.
I would love to have a copy of that ritual because that was a fabulous ritual.
I'll see if I can find it.
Cool.
So, yeah, because our Druid tradition comes off of I can't think of the name of it, but it came out of Carleton College is where they started it. And with Isaac Bonowitz, if anybody knew of Isaac Bonowitz. So.
The name sounds familiar, yes.
And he's now passed, but and I went to Nyack for about a year, and I actually circled with his wife's Gardnerian circle while I was there, and he was included in that. So I got to know Isaac a little bit. So he's a very controversial figure sometimes with people, but I saw him around his wife, and he was very, she handled it all. So, but I met him on his 40th birthday.
It was fun to argue with. Was there a question that someone had I thought was popped up? I'm not sure.
Oh, let's see.
Could be mistaken.
I'm not seeing
I just wanted to mention, back in the day, my first book was on Tibetan yoga. So, yeah, very, very, very similar. And I started doing energy work and that type of stuff in my early teens.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got a similar point of view about how the world is all magic and energy, and working with that. And but yeah, my background's different, and I won't hog your show.
Well, I kind of like this because there wasn't like questions. I thought there was the other two shows I did, they all had like questions. So it was like a little different. This was, you never know what to expect. I'm new to these, things. So.
Right.
Have you ever got to the point where you just like sing nonsense words to nature and have it sing back to you?
No, if I'm doing something like that, I play my native flute.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Words of a different sort.
What?
Words of a different sort.
Yes. I believe I used to tell people I don't play my native flute. My native flute plays me.
Mm.
And that's how it's starting to be with my guitar. Is I'm finding my guitar wants to sing.
Very nice.
It's almost like you get a connection with the energy of something and you become one with it to the point that it's using you instead of you using it.
It sounds like a level of mastery there. The level of well, maybe not mastery is the right word, but a partnership level even. The guitar is now familiar.
That's how I sing sometimes. So it's makes no sense to other people except unless they can feel me vibrating with nature.
Mm.
It's singing that way, I would assume. I mean, I did that when I was younger before, but it's not something I do as a practice at all. But I would assume that that is more close to nature than singing words, because nature doesn't necessarily understand our words, but it's going to understand the vibration much more. So I can see where that would be very beneficial to. I think
as children we begin singing like that, and then when we get older, we get taught that songs have forms and words and music, and here are the specific notes that we wrote down. And we
I
get
was
taught
singing
out of
to
it.
congregations of crows and other animals when I was 5 and 6.
Mm,
And we had this neighbor who I figured out that she's a witch. And she was probably well into her 60s, if not older. And she just said, "That's beautiful what you're doing, but we don't want to sing that out in public. Maybe you want to learn how to, maybe you want to sing that when you're older." And I guess she was just trying to protect me. Because I remember one time I went to her house and I said, "Oh, there's a peacock feather." And my mom said, "So you don't ask about that." I'm like, and the woman was very gracious. She says, "That's all right, Jane. Uh, Bill can ask me about that anytime he wants." And it's just, yes, it's just a peacock feather. But my mother and her knew. And you could just tell from the interaction. And as I think about it as an adult, I was like, yeah, there's something to it.
Well, does anybody else have any kind of natural magic that they use every day? And sometimes wondering about that, like singing to the birds or to nature. Or Joe's got something. No?
No, I mean, it's like I go to these places that got energy and power, or multiple planes are overlapping, and I will sing it, and I'll get some of the words that committed to memories that kind of anchor
Mm,
anchor me to that place. And it's like finding natural planes of other beings overlapping where you're at is one thing, but when you go to a place and you get a whole bunch of them all at once, because it's like a ley line, where and
hmm
there's all sorts of creatures there, and one place there's just a lot of people and they play with people, and I'll just sit back and watch the interactions.
mm. I've always loved the sitting in one place and just feeling the energies and seeing what happens. The thing I miss most during the last 3 years is being able to just go somewhere and people watch, for instance, or being able to go, I don't get out of the house that much anymore because during the past 3 years, aside from the levels of disability I already had, I've gotten even less able. And so I don't even get to go sit out in nature anymore. I miss that. I will go back to museums when I have a chance. I was one of those people who could never go to a museum with other friends because I want to sit in front of one piece of artwork for hours and not wander around looking at everything and checking out the gift shop, because I'm feeling the energy of the art. I'm feeling the creative energy the artist put into it. I'm feeling the energy of the models in it if there are people in the image. I never get the experience in a museum that I want.
If you ever get a chance to view William Bergeron's work, he's
Yeah.
a Dutch artist from early 1800s.
Okay.
He made some amazing paintings with very subtle emotional aspects of the art. Brilliant realistic painter. I remember this one painting when I was a kid. I was probably 6. It was satyrs and a nymphs, and it's kind of a famous painting. But it was embarrassing my mother because I was just amazed at the artwork, absolutely amazed. But he had a lot of other artwork that was just awesome to look at.
I'll have to check that out. Well, we need to wind things up here. It's been about an hour, well, a little bit more than. And thank you so much, Gayla, for being here. I'm sorry I keep messing up your name.
That's all
And
right.
we are so sorry for the technical problems. I'm glad we were able to come up with a workaround. I'm really hoping we can have you back again sometime where we can just have a smooth session.
I would love to come back. I'd play some music for you if I knew that's what you wanted.
Certainly.
But I would love to come back and visit anytime. This
Well, thank
was
you
fun.
so much. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to stop the recording now. Where is it? Where is it?